Good evening and welcome to the Caneswear podcast. Gio, today is June 30th, which means we're exactly at the halfway point of the year, basically. First half of the year is January 1st to June 30th. The second half of the year is July 1st to December 31st, basically. And what that means is we know the second half of the year is when football season starts. So we are ready. It is the drum roll for Canes season is coming up. Today is June 30th. Welcome to the Caneswear TV podcast with myself and, of course, the immensible, immeasurable, amazing Gio. And before I go any further, Gio, I know it's a big day. We have big announcements. So the people want to hear all about it. They're biting at the chops. Tell us some good stuff.
Look, well, obviously everyone knows at this point, if you're a big Miami Hurricane fan, huge commitment for Miami. Earlier this afternoon, around 4 o'clock, Eli Woodard, the 4-star receiver from the state of California, originally hailing from this great state of Missouri that Miami has landed some great hurricanes out of that state in itself, dating back to the old Rusty Medeiros himself from the Ozarks. But huge commitment landing him. He was the opening MVP over the weekend in Portland, Oregon. Bunch of 5-stars went out there, bunch of blue chip recruits, but he was the alpha dog. He was named the MVP of the event. Huge event for many years that kind of went away when COVID happened, but they're bringing it back now. It's becoming a staple during the off season, and huge what he did in general because his recruiting profile is about to explode even more now. Like, yes, he's a blue chip recruit. He's a 4-star, but he's probably going to rise up in the rankings quite a bit because he did some impressive things, not against just your run-of-the-mill cornerbacks, but a 5-star cornerback himself and John Meredith, who hails from the state of Texas, one of the better defensive backs overall in this entire recruiting class. He was playing with the West 7-on-7 team for the Nike opening in Portland, Oregon. Him, Dante Wright, all those guys. Obviously, a great relationship there between Woodard and Wright, both playing on the same 7-on-7 team in general throughout this offseason. Both are very close, huge commitments for Miami. And look, on top of everything else, Brett, 12 of Miami's 20 commitments are from out of state. You know what this means, Brett?
Gio, tell me what it means.
Miami's in uncharted territory. If you are a Miami Hurricane fan, you are not used to Miami recruiting at this level. This is what I've been talking about for the last 2 years, that everyone was super excited about Miami's recruiting, but some people kind of went at me for this when I said, I felt like there was another tier for Miami to jump into recruiting as a program. The way your Texases would recruit, your Texas A&Ms, your Georgias and everything throughout all the years, Ohio States and whatnot. Miami's in that tier now. They have broken through. They are a tier 1 team in the country when it comes to recruiting top talent. 5-stars want to play with 5-stars, and 5-stars want to flock to Coral Gables now. Miami is landing the best of the best. Their evaluations are second to none because I'll tell you this, they have a guy who's a 3-star right now in their class by the name of Javon Dawson out of Santa Lucis Community High School, same high school that Vince Wilfork and Zach McLeod hailed out of during their prep careers. Freak athlete, but not only a freak athlete, he showed out at the Nike opening not too long ago either. And most around the recruiting scene do expect him to become another blue chip recruit for Miami. Eli Woodard was a 3-star recruit overall when the recruiting cycle truly kicked off back in that January, February range. Miami is making not only the right evaluations, but evaluations on players that are peaking at the right time, peaking going into their senior year. And they're going to double dip again when the fall comes around. They're going to watch senior tape, see, hey, Is there any stone that was left unturned that we didn't look at, or any guys they were pursuing in the summer or spring that they're going to spin the block on again? So I'm super pumped about what Miami's doing right now, Brett. I'll say this. In the modern recruiting era, what I consider the modern recruiting era is when rivals first started putting out their rankings back in, we're talking this was 2002, 2003, when they started with their whole ranking system on the internet, because rankings back then used to be like on the newspapers and different publications and everything. It was all paper stuff. But when it became prevalent on the internet, 2002, 2003, Miami has never recruited at this level ever in the modern recruiting era. You have to go back to Butch Davis or Jimmy Johnson, maybe even a little Dennis Erickson in there, to come even close to what Miami's doing right now. Look, again, I know this is all on paper, but it's hard to ignore this when Miami just came off of a run to the national championship game, facing adversity throughout the season last year with, some lumps halfway through. It's incredible what Miami's doing right now. And all hats off and credit to the guys at the helm, guys like obviously your head coach and Mario Cristobal, your GM, your general manager, one of the best in college football right now, and Dennis Smith. There's barely anyone that can compare to what he brings to the table for Miami. That guy bleeds orange and green. And by the way, happy birthday to Dennis Smith. Tremendous job that he has done for Miami since he's arrived. Just year over year, you see the progression, the trajectory of this program. And look, some people are probably wondering, damn, like, why is Gio so excited? I am pumped up because we are entering a new era of Miami Hurricanes football, something that has never been seen before. Obviously, it has to translate from paper to the field, but it's very encouraging when you see the results of the last 4 years. It's hard to deny. It's hard to look away from. There's a proof of concept now.
Gio, I will say this is the most excited I can recall you being. This is phenomenal. This is energetic Gio. We're just going to call him the Energizer Bunny Rabbit because Gio is on fire today. He's excited. This is more excited than with the day that you were angry about people ripping the program on recruits and things like that. You're more excited than that day that you were tearing down people. And since that day, by the way, Miami has been signing guy after guy after guy. And it's amazing. It's like when Hassan was in the corner backing Mario after the SMU, you were backing Mario on the recruiting and everything like that. And since then, I mean, it has been just one after another after another. Obviously, we all knew this was coming, but, we've had plenty of commits before that we knew that were coming and they didn't come. We were sure of some commits and they didn't come. So until they sign on the dotted line, it's not happening. We didn't know if he would leave California. He did. And this is another great day to be a Hurricane. And what do you say to the people, Gio, that say, so you said 12 out of our 20 recruits were out of the state, correct?
Out of state, yes.
So what do you say to the people that say, all we need to do is recruit South Florida? Why are we going anywhere but South Florida to recruit people?
You know what's the beauty of where Miami sits in the landscape of college football today, Brett? Miami has leverage now. You can no longer say, can Miami play for something relevant? Can they compete in the postseason? There's no more of those questions now. I think the only questions maybe that remain is, when will they win a national championship? When will they win the ACC? But you can't argue the fact anymore that could they be an annual contender? I think they're built to do so. I think we're really going to see what Miami's made of this year, because you come off that run to the championship. Obviously, you're like 40 yards and a blocked punt away from winning the whole damn thing. The only thing left to do is win the whole damn thing. And on top of, winning the ACC, I think everyone wants that this year. I think that should be number one, because you win the ACC, you're in the playoff, guaranteed. So, Brett, I'm a little speechless with what they're doing with this program, because I would say about let's see. The last time Miami won a national championship, I was 8 years old. For more than half of my life, the Miami Hurricanes have not played to their standard. There's been some good years in between, but for anyone that is a fan that you are within your 20s or your early 30s, I commend you for sticking by this program, sticking through the bad times to get to this point, to see everything that is happening now, because the view is much better when you see where everything came from. I mean, we go back to, I was speaking about like the modern recruiting era of the rankings when Rivals really started pushing that out on the internet, 2002, 2003 era. Miami's never had 4 5-star recruits in a class.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, Miami right now, as the thumbnail title says, they have the number 1 average blue chip ratio, like average ranking of all their prospects put together, the number 1 average ratio in the entire country right now. Because I know people, they get fixated on the rankings and they say, oh, well, this team's won and this is, I like to pay attention to the average ranking. The reason why I say this is I point back to Malachi Tony's class. I remember there was a certain theme that stuck with some fans. They said, wow, we didn't get top 10 in this class. We're just right outside the top 10. But I said, hey, you know, I still think it's a quality class. As a matter of fact, I said at the time, the average ratio, it was the best that Mario signed to that point. So I look back to that and I look at now, Miami's made a jump even from then. They have made a jump. So you're talking about that was the 2025 group. 2026 group is already in on campus right now. 2027 will be next spring, you know, right after January, all December, January, that time frame, those guys will be arriving in. Brad, this is super exciting. Like, I don't know all the words to put towards this, but I think I'm fumbling on some of the words because I'm almost at a loss to kind of wrap my head around this, how Miami's got to this point, because I look back to that first season when Mario Cristobal got here and Miami went 5-7 that year. They missed a bowl game, all that. Everyone remembers the TVD got hurt at quarterback carousel. Miami was playing a walk-on running back at one point. The offensive line was a disaster. You had Cristobal saying when he arrived, man, where's the big guys? Like that is a story I've heard that when I understand it is true that he said, where's the big guys when he first got here? And he's always said it too, since he first arrived, that it has to look a certain way. And I've seen this over the last 2.5 years that you see a vast difference from that first year to now, the size of this team, not only the size, but now the explosiveness too. Miami's getting faster as well. Aside from being big, they're getting faster now.
No doubt about it. Speed, power, and depth this team has. But you know, you realize we won 3 bowl games basically this past year. All right, but before that, we won 1 bowl game in 19 years. The 2017 Mark Richt team, and before that, before that 2016 bowl game he won actually, and then the 17. And then before, we also only had 1 10-win season before these 2 back-to-back 10-win seasons in about 18 years. So I mean, this program, I mean, it was amazing that everybody would say, you know, we're not doing well enough for this program. We hadn't won anything. Like, we don't want the ACC. We're national championship or bust. I mean, we just won 10 wins. It was a difficult time period. And if Mario continues this, we know, like fans always are, myself included, we're going to get spoiled. And 10 wins isn't enough, of course. 11 wins isn't enough. We need 12-0. We need 13-0. We need 14-0. We need to win out. We need to win every game. Actually, Mario's there this year. I mean, I believe with everything that he's doing, it is so high set right now that that Mario has to do something. We have to win the ACC. We have to get to at least where we were last year, or maybe further, or some people are going to believe this is a failure of a season.
No, I agree with you. I mean, Michael Yo asked me the question earlier today. He said, what constitutes, a Miami making it to the playoffs? And like, I think he asked me the question. Wait, hold on. I got it here because he texted it to me. Because I want to interject this in here too. He said, finish this sentence. Miami makes the playoff if, and my answer was that Miami makes the playoff, in my opinion, as long as you win 11 games and you win that ACC. I think that should be the standard. I think Brett, to me, if Miami loses 3 games during the regular season this year, I think it's a letdown.
Oh, if we lose 2 games, I totally know. 3 games there's no doubt of it. We cannot take a step backwards. But that's what it is with these great programs, need to go full fire every year. Miami cannot. People have national championship on their minds. They teased us last year. We just missed the championship last year. So I believe that, this is we need to go. We need to win at least a playoff game this year. An ACC would be nice, but I'm more concerned about the playoffs. And winning a few will be key. And obviously winning the national championship. I mean, this is a town that is national championship driven. For years, when Miami was making those runs, we weren't happy with losing in championships. And we lost in plenty of championships. Either we lost or they were taken away from us. We lost big games that changed our seasons. We won 5 championships, but a lot of us know we could have won 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Not that they were taken away from us, that we just either got taken away or lost. We had so many opportunities of national championships, and we came through with 5, which is great. But there's about 5 of them we didn't get. So, but if we lose a game, like we lost, when they took the game against Ohio State, fans weren't happy with, oh, look, we got to the championship. Fans weren't happy when we lost to Notre Dame, when Cleveland Gary didn't fumble. Oh, yeah, we were still number 2 ranked in the season after the season, number 1 in the New York Times. They weren't happy when we lost to Penn State. We're number 2 in the country. They are going to want championships. Last year was the mulligan. It was like, okay, you know what? We're going to give you this one. The fans will not be so kind. They want national championships at Miami.
Absolutely. And that was always the standard. I think that's what they're pushing for in the building. I had a conversation with someone from Miami in some recent time, and look, they are all hands on deck when it comes towards continuing to push the envelope with this program, continuing to improve it in every single which way they believe they can and have in their power to do. There's a full-on commitment, Brett. Miami's here to stay, in my opinion. I don't think this is a one-off, or as a rival fan or people that hate Miami will try to say, oh, they got lucky last year or whatever. No, I don't think this has anything to do with luck. I think Miami's starting to find their stride. I think Miami is in a window now where a championship should be an expectation within the upcoming years, that you want to win the whole thing. I'm not saying that's this year. We'll see. I think it's very tough to return to the big one like one year after the other. But hey, it has been done before. But to me, there's a window right now, and you got to capitalize. You got to get that ROI, that return of investment for everything that you're putting in, preparing and building this team for that moment. I do think the window's there. I think they have the players to compete for it. I think they have the coaches to do it. I think the development is happening in the building. We've talked about it throughout the offseason. You got a guy who was a 3-star late senior bloomer in Ahmad Moten, who's a projected top 10, top 15 pick right now going into this season. To me, that screams development. Screams development, because he wasn't a starter out of the gate or anything of the sort. It took some time for him to get going. You got a guy like Justin Scott, obviously former 5-star, but he started hitting his stride last year. I just see development all around the program. And I know people will point back to last season. They'll say, oh, well, Malachi Tony, absolutely special talent. But you have to give some credit to the coaching staff in putting him in the position to succeed. That's the biggest thing, because there's no more sadder thing in college football than wasted talent. And this is what I believe, Brett. Miami had a long-term coaching and development issue from the Larry Coker era up until Mark Richt arrived. Mark Richt gave a little bit of a spark to the program, and it kind of started again when Manny Diaz took over. That you always felt that, man, there's this freshman, he really flashed and everything, but it almost seemed like that player plateaued after that first year. What I see at Miami is guys will have these great freshman years, but then they'll finish their career off strong. They continue getting better. Or there's guys that have transferred to Miami and they have gotten better when they arrived here. You look at Keontae Scott last year. You look at Jacoby Thomas last year. So I love the trajectory that Miami's on. I think they're on the right path. I think they're a playoff team again this year. I'm not ready to say championship. I think as we get closer to the season, when I see more of this team in fall camp, I want to get another good look at this program before the season starts, that I'll kind of say my take on where I think the final destination could be for them. But this is a playoff team. This is a playoff team. They're built for it. If anyone out there says like, oh, you're putting a lot of expectation on them, I don't think it's a lot of expectations for them. This is what they believe in the building. They believe that they can compete with anyone in the country. And I think they showed that last year too.
Well, Mario has said it. Plenty of people have said to me in the store, and I know you've heard it. And it's like, you know what? If anyone talks about, I've heard nobody's allowed to wear the 2026 shirts that we sell in the store. They're not allowed to wear them in the when they're on campus, when they're visiting Mario. They cannot wear the 2026 championship games because Mario feels we have not won anything. Take that off. We didn't win anything. We got there, but we didn't do shit. We did not win. So you know what? Until we win, don't put that crap on in front of them. That's what I've heard. And, which is good. I want that. I want them to think that, hey, we don't want to rest on our laurels. And he wants more than anything, as much as anybody, even as much as me, he wants to win a championship. And so I think that, I want a coach that's hungry like that. I want a coach that it's now or never every single year. He wants to be, let's win that championship for Miami, and then we'll worry about the other ones. But, Mario has turned this program around. We've all had doubt. At this time last year, we're saying the only thing that can hurt us is Mario's game day coaching. We're not really saying that right now because of the way the season ended. Now, last year, that was a topic on everybody's mind. You know what? The only thing holding us back will be Mario in the 60 minutes. Nobody's really thinking about that now. And hopefully Mario that we saw, Mario 2.0, who we saw after SMU, is the guy we're going to see. I feel
Absolutely.
We will.
And I think it's funny that you see former Notre Dame players, a guy like Malik Zaire, who I got into quite a few spats with after the Notre Dame game last year, that kept on trying to say that Notre Dame was a better team than Miami. And I said,
yeah, they're still saying it.
Yeah, he went on, I think it was on 3 over the past week. He was talking about it. He was saying that, that Freeman's the better coach and he's the better program builder and everything. I think Marcus Freeman's a good coach, but you cannot call him
a great coach. Yes.
You can't call him a program builder because he took over something that Brian Kelly sustained. It wasn't like that program was like way down and he had to bring them back up. Do I think that he's helped them in some ways? Yeah, I think Notre Dame's recruiting better than they ever have before. And I think Freeman is a big part of that. But to say he's the better coach or better program builder than Cristobal, there's no way he's the better program builder because Cristobal's done it over and over again. He did it he did it at Oregon, and he did it at Miami. So I want to say one thing when it comes to even the Miami fans that got super negative that it was about that April, May, early May timeline. There was a group of Miami fans. I'm not saying all, because there's definitely still believers out there that said, they'll figure things out and everything. When people thought the sky was falling, when they didn't get Myson Johnson Cook, or when all the Mark Matthews and Texas A&M stuff started leaking out. You got to have faith, man, because if you look back at those comments that people said at the time, they look absolutely crazy. They look crazy. They said, "Oh, they forgot how to recruit. Yes. There's no money. The money has dried up and everything." And it's funny enough, because a week to 2 weeks later, after like all of that complaining and everything from a set group of Miami fans, Miami started going on their run. Miami's now in the top 3 in the rankings in the country, number 1 in blue chip ratio, which to me is the most important thing, because you could fill out a class, but what's the quality of that class? And we've been talking about this for several months here, Brett, that yes, it is going to be a smaller class for Miami, low 20s area, but high in quality. And it continues on that trend with the recent commitment. Miami's not done yet this cycle. They're going to continue going after others. We've mentioned the names before. I'll bring up some of them again that people should keep tabs on throughout now until Miami gets to fall with football and everything, which is right around the corner. It's literally right around the corner, people. We're basically about a month out from fall camp opening up and this season arriving. Guys to watch out for that we've talked about several times. A guy like Myson Johnson Cook, the running back who ended up committing to Auburn, who was very close to going to Miami. That's one where Miami could potentially kick the tires on again. Jackson Dollar, the 5-star tight end, committed to Georgia. Miami was very, very tightly in that race. There was even a fan, I think, of another school who came on this show in a comment and said, "Oh, no way, you guys are not a finalist. No way, he's going to Notre Dame." Funny enough, he didn't go to Notre Dame. He went to Georgia. Mm-hmm. And I do expect Miami will continue trying to poke and prod there and see if they could find a way in. They'll evaluate other senior tight ends, as I've said over and over again. I'm sure it sounds like some repetitive stuff, but I do think Miami's got the nucleus of their class already for the summer. If something comes up over the next few weeks, like going into July or something, I'll bring it up. But I think more so you'll hear more news about 2028 guys coming up now, like Dennis 201, who plays with Raw Miami, a guy like Aiden Johnson, the local pass rusher. Those are some names that'll come up with a lot of buzz because they're very pro-Miami with their stance and their recruitment right now. And Miami's got 2 big-time key cogs in that, 3 actually, in that class that are recruiting other guys in their class right now. And as a matter of fact, speaking of 2028, Asher Jodo, he shared something on his Instagram this evening, a little after Miami landed Eli Woodard, just some pro-Miami stuff on his Instagram. You can't read too much into that, but Miami's done as good of a job as anyone in the country recruiting him. The only program even close has been Georgia to this point, which will be a main fixture that Miami will be going head-to-head with for him. But he's a top 3 prospect next year. Another guy is a guy like Bryson Wright. Bryson Wright, Miami's very much in the thick of that recruitment. They're very much in the thick of the recruitment of Amir Sears. They're going to push the envelope on some of those 2028 guys because they're ahead of schedule right now for 2027. Now they're going to be very picky and choosy and selective on who they take going forward for 2020. I mentioned the tight end. Wide receiver, we'll see if a big X receiver option becomes open. I know Miami really liked a guy like Quentin Hale, who's committed to USC. He shut down his process for the summer, but you never know if things open up back in the fall. It happens with a lot of recruits. They'll shut things down in the summer, and then season comes around and they want to see some games around the country. You can't blame a kid who's 17, 18, 19 years old from wanting to travel around the country and see some of these big college football games. Hey, you have the opportunity. Why not? It happens a lot. Offensive line-wise, yes, they value a guy like Mark Matthews, but I don't think there's a lot of optimism right there for now. We'll see maybe if things change when the season comes around. A lot can happen over the next 5 months until early signing day. But One that they're going to continue chipping on all the way until he basically says, I'm done with my process, till he officially says it.
Mhm.
DJ Jacobs, the 5-star pass rusher out of the state of Georgia. Miami will continue chipping away there. And actually, jumping back to offensive line, I do think there's a big name on offensive line. I don't want to say that I could see Miami circling back on. I've heard some chatter on recently. I just don't want to say the name right now until I get something a little more concrete on it. But I think something to possibly monitor in the future. I don't want to tease, but just want to be very sure on it. And last thing I'll mention, I've said this before, defensive tackle wise, I think if a big fish comes open or someone has a really big senior year, because Miami is putting a huge premium on interior guys, especially defensive line wise. They want to continue excelling up front in the trenches. If there is someone that really rises to the top, I think they'll take a shot at.
Awesome. How much do you think the last question before we get to the questions? How much guys like Myson Cook and Jacobs, all the guys that we're looking at? How much do you, since it's not until December, right, that they sign on the dotted line? How much do you think winning means this season? You think these guys are looking for, all right, we win 11 or games, or Auburn wins 6 games? Do you think that's going to change people's mind? Or do you think it gives them more of an option that's saying, hey, I want to play for this team because they're not as good and I can help them build?
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit of kind of works both ways, to be honest with you. And I think what you see is there's some kids that'll value that, damn, this team sucked. They stink this year. They only won 4 or 5 games. Like, do I really want to go here? Maybe I'll take a little less at this other school, and they're actually competing for championships and everything. And maybe it's just slightly less, but, I could potentially make more if I do really well there. That kind of can come into play. There's also some just exorbitant contracts that some schools give some players that it's way above what their market really should be. There's some schools that like ridiculously overpay. So that kind of works both ways. But I will say this. I think majority of the guys that Miami still has in mind, and I'm sure there's going to be more names that surface because this happens every year. There's some new names that surface by the time we get to September, October, November, when senior film starts making the rounds. Perfect example, a guy like J.J. Dunnigan, Mylan Paris. Miami wasn't even on those guys back in the summer last year, so a lot can change. But I think what you will see is there's no longer the question now when it comes to these high-profile guys about, I want to see what Miami looks like or anything like that. That's not happening with the national guys, at least. If there's local kids still doing weird stuff, you know what? They're lost, honestly, because to me, I think if you're a local kid, you're within that South Florida area, the Tri-County, or even with the old proverbial state of Miami, as Howard Schnellenberger used to call it. If you don't want to go to Miami, I think you're crazy at this point.
Exactly.
It's development and winning. If you don't want to, fine. Maybe there's other reasons. Maybe, like I say as well, Miami's not for everyone. It really isn't. Even the coaches say it too. This ain't for everyone. They say it themselves within the building. So you want to work, you want to be one of the best, you go to Miami. That's the standard they are getting back to now. So overall, though, when it comes to your question that you said, I think it just works both ways. It depends on the kid. So let's say, for example, just hypothetical, not saying this does happen, but a guy like a Myson Johnson Cook, let's say Auburn doesn't have a good year. Let's say they win only 4 or 5 games. Maybe he does reconsider and open things back up. I know there was other programs that were involved aside from Miami. Maybe he does open his process back up. But again, it boils down to, does a kid value success and compensation, or compensation and the team may not be really good at that time? But I do think what helps teams that don't do so hot, like this is a good example. Miami, the first year when Mario was here, you get that benefit of the doubt as a first-year coach, and then with
Mhm.
NIL compensation now, you could definitely overcome some of those shortcomings. But there's some kids that they do value the winning aspect more. And as a matter of fact, there are some guys, I've had this confirmed to me, there are some guys that Miami has landed this year that Miami wasn't always the biggest bidder in terms of
Mhm.
NIL. It simply boiled down to Miami's a hot school right now. Kids want to come here. So I think it's a beautiful thing to see. And you know what? For the South Florida turncoats, man, Cristobal couldn't be at Miami at a better time because you're no longer at the mercy of street agents or the local kids that are trying to take you for a ride and everything. Look, Brett, I'll say this. There are some local kids in the past that Miami has cut off that they said like they didn't want them simply because of just too much baggage that came with bringing that player onto this roster because they are looking for a specific mindset. And the bottom line, it boils down to, do they love football? And I think Miami's got a lot of players in that building right now that they love football. They eat it,
Mhm.
they breathe it, and they sleep it.
Eat, drink, and sleep. Miami football. There's the shirt. I eat, drink, and sleep. Miami football. Well, Gio, I mean, wow, for just, for this far away from the season, which it is coming on, the 2-month period, and not a ton going on for a Tuesday night. This is a jam packed. I don't want to steal Mark Hockman's line, but this is like a loaded baked potato. If he gets royalties on that, I'm in trouble. But we won't go with the Mount Rushmore right now. But anyway, remember Caneswear TV. Please like and subscribe. We are growing every day. We have other programs we're going to announce. Caneswear News, Caneswear TV, and Caneswear News is all part of the new Caneswear Media, which is a sister company to Caneswear. We are proud and excited. We introduced our lead writer, Alex Dono. A lot of you know Alex. He is awesome, a great human being, a fantastic writer. Was writing for Sports Illustrated before, so that was a big coup for us, and we are very excited to have him. Gio does a lot of collabs with Alex, and we're very happy to have him writing. And remember, Caneswear TV. Please like, follow, download the app, Caneswear.com on the Apple or Google Store, and you can always. The great thing is a lot of places now have your have paywalls, have subscriptions with the Caneswear app. You don't need to do that. You just go on there. You don't have to buy anything, but there will be special discounts, and we're going to have things. You can see, you'll be able to see all the podcasts on there, and also you'll be able to see all the great news articles. And right now, Dono has joined the team, and Gio, I know you are just as excited as me about that.
Absolutely. I am very excited for what we have coming up. There's some things we haven't said publicly that we have in store ahead of this season, going into the season. Just stick around and stay tuned because I think people are going to be very pleased with what's coming.
Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of Caneswear, lots of cool drops. We did some really cool videos in the store. We had the Caneswear TV corporate meeting at the store. Then we did a little powwow lunch. Gio was doing while we're having the corporate meeting. Gio was there on with Michael Yo. We've got it all rocking and rolling. Right after that, all of a sudden we get the announcement that there's going to be a commit. We got Ava running out, doing the live. Gio jumping on. I mean, it was just total action, like the newspapers of the old days. If you've seen those movies, everybody's scrambling everywhere. It was awesome. So it's a great time to be a Miami Hurricane, and we are all very excited right now.
Absolutely. And without further ado, let's jump into questions and comments. By the way, people, we're bringing a soundboard to the show. I'm looking into some features to add. Juan Manuel, we got our fish. Do you think Woodard shoots up in the rankings? Absolutely. Especially after what he did at the opening. Absolutely. They take a good portion of weight into that for the rankings. Juan Manuel, hey, Gio and Brett, tell us about Joel Irvin. Is he someone that maybe later in the year could help Miami? I'll say this. from a recent conversation I had, they're excited about Joel Irvin. I don't want to put insane expectations on him, but the only thing I'm going to say is they're really excited about him. And I mean, like, super duper excited about this kid. I don't know what his role looks like year one, but I do think there's a chance it could be earlier than later in the year that he could have some role in some type of capacity. So we'll see.
You know, he's got the name. I know we had another Irvin after Michael. I think Michael's son. But Joel Irvin, any relation?
No, he's Ervin.
Okay,
Yeah.
it looked like it was spelled Irvin. So he is Irvin. All right, so he's more like Irvin Magic Johnson. I got it.
Yes, like that. Yeah,
All
like
right.
Magic Johnson. Juan Manuel, how are the tight ends coming along? I think we're more talented than last year with Gavin Mueller and Izzy Briggs, but I do see Ben Congdon and Joel Irvin playing a role as blocking tight end. Why not if you want blocking? I agree with you, and I am on that page with you. They did some of that even with, oh my goodness, last year it was, who was it again? Ryan Rodriguez did some of that last year. I know they did. They had SJ Olafai-Tule line up as a fullback of sorts at times, so I could see them getting a little creative with those things. And Ben Congdon was definitely a really nice surprise in spring. I wasn't expecting him to be that advanced early on. Hassan said, Gio and Brett, how was your meeting? I saw a little peek when Gio was on Canes.
It was an excellent meeting, great team meeting, great when the team gets together. It was phenomenal. And one day we'll have to do a live video of us in the actual meeting and everything that we do. That'll be exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Just the video of the meeting will be like the HBO when they do Hard Knocks. So we'll actually be doing the video of the meeting of planning everything.
So Hassan also shared, Gio, it has to feel good that you're a wanted man. You are everywhere, but I don't blame them. You are the best in the business. Thank you, Hassan. I appreciate it.
That's very nice, Hassan. Yes, Gio is. We're blessed to have Gio with Caneswear TV, and we are building something special. Hopefully, you'll see Gio on the bus. I want to have Gio's. Eventually, it's going to be Gio in the mornings, like they used to have all those shows. And you're going to see every time you're going to see a bus pass, you're going to see a picture of Gio sipping coffee.
Funny thing about that, I don't drink coffee, so it's got to be the Arizona iced tea or fruit punch.
We got our first sponsor.
Hassan said, Miami's hot in recruiting, just like the Toledo weather. It's over 100 degrees here. Oh, my goodness, Hassan. Jesus. That's
100 degrees here, too.
Well, funny thing about it, so I did a quick live when Woodard committed today.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually pretty hot in South Florida today because I didn't realize, even though I had the AC on in my car and everything, it was blasting through there. My phone overheated while I was on live right at the end of it, like within the last minute or 2 minutes.
Wow.
And some people made joking comments. They're like, oh my goodness, Gio turned into a robot because apparently my voice sounded like a robot right at the end.
That's crazy.
Howard Stern, thank you for stopping by as always. I'm feeling so grateful. I remember the days when Ron Zook created a national championship team with 60% of the players that should have been Miami Hurricanes. He's very right about that. Players now that we're keeping those players. I'm 100% on the same page with you, Howard Stern. There was quite a few guys, even from the South Florida area, that they were plucking out of there between Zook and then when Urban Meyer took over and everything. That was tough to see. It was very tough to see. Juan Manuel said, Gio and Brett, I'm curious. Why does Notre Dame get bestowed top secondary and O-line units for the second year in a row, yet not perform when encountering ranked teams? Moore and Tay Johnson are elite, not the rest. Yeah, look, I think Notre Dame has a good secondary, but to me, I look at it like their safety group compared to Miami's. I'm going to take Miami because you got Bryce Fitzgerald. I'm going to take Miami with that slight edge because I think Zachariah Poyser's a really good, solid player.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to take another jump this year. Schuler and Johnson are both good players as well for Notre Dame, but to me, I think the guy with the highest ceiling of all of those is Bryce Fitzgerald. I mean, it's hard to ignore what he did. And then You throw in the fact that Miami's got another young buck chomping at the bit who's going to play a lot this year as long as he's healthy, and J.J. Dunnigan, who I think has all the ability to be one of Miami's next two freshman All-Americans as long as he's healthy. Yeah, I take Miami with that slight edge of the safeties. And look, Leonard Moore is phenomenal for Notre Dame, but do any of the other corners compared to the top four Miami has? That's a pressing question.
I think our secondary, I mean, is possible. I mean, we've got strong, obviously our receivers are deep. Obviously our running backs are deep. Obviously our lines are deep. I think our secondary could match up with any of them on pure athleticism, pure depth. I expect to see some amazing things from those guys back there this year.
Absolutely. He said Moore and Tate Johnson are elite talents, but Aiden Schuler is an in-the-box safety. That is correct. That is suspect in covers, especially at the tall tight ends. Christian Gray, they try to hide a nickel. The CU transfer slated to start. Yeah, we'll see with Notre Dame. Christian Gray got exposed by Miami last year. And here's the other thing, too. At the end of the day, Miami's got a lot of weapons they're going to throw at you on offense. So we'll see how that matchup goes in late November. Well, not late November. I think it's early November when Miami heads over there to South Bend. But we'll see. Let's see here. Andy said, "Hello, boys. Is Brett sober?"
I was a little tired, though, from a long day and not much sleep, so I had to catch myself. But yes, I think I'm sober. I'll breathe in a mirror and I'll say.
Vicken Bastian said, "Good evening, Gio." Thank you, Vicken. Thank you for always stopping by. Possum Jenkin, thank you for stopping by again. Eli Woodard reminds me of Isaiah Bond. That's a pretty nice comparison. I think Isaiah Bond was maybe a little faster on the track times. But then again, look, Woodard has a 10.9, and that's from his sophomore year going into junior year, from what I understand. If he's running track again, guys can get faster. I remember Bryce Fitzgerald jumped from I think his times was in the 11s. And then his final year at Columbus, he jumped up to a 10.6. So guys can get faster year over year, especially at a younger age like that. There's more jumps in their development. We'll see, but I could definitely see that with the type of body type too. I think Woodard's built really well. This is official measurement from Miami. About 6 foot, basically 5'11", 3/4, 189 pounds. So he's 190 pounds already. That's really good for a kid that's entering his senior year. His senior year hasn't even started yet. This kid could be 6 foot, 200 pounds, being able to play some slot and on the outside when he arrives to Miami. That's a great build for a receiver.
Absolutely.
Brooksville Kane said, "Gio, any news on our new AD?" Nope. And I think that's going to be a process that, look, Miami's not exactly in a rush to get that done. They just want to make sure they have the right hire. They want to get the right guy and everything. They're vetting things out. We've spoken about Jim Frivola, that he would be a tremendous, tremendous AD for Miami. But again, that's one of those things that he would have to make a decision himself. Does he want to come back to Miami? Because he has a great situation for himself right now. So that's weighing the checks and balances of all that. And not many other names have popped up. Yes, the whole thing with the guy from Rock Nation and whatnot. Oh my goodness, what's his name again, Brett? The
brother,
Yormark. Yeah. So that's kind of pretty much been deaded for a while now. Miami's basically kind of moved on from that point. So, but not a lot of news on that front, and I don't think you're going to hear a lot of things publicly for some time. Jose Gonzalez, yeah, Gio, we're definitely spoiled with recruiting so far this year. So to that point, what do you think our chances are of flipping Quentin Hale? He also looked amazing in Oregon this past weekend. Hard to say right now because he shut things down for the summer, but I've been on this theme saying this for a while because I've seen this happen before at Hard Rock and even with other recruitments that maybe have gone against Miami in the past, that Kids will take visits in the fall. They will visit other schools to see games. I do not put it past that potentially he could be a guy that shows up to a game day visit to Miami. I won't put it past that. I will say though, big coup by Miami getting Woodard though, and him backing off that USC commitment back in May, because USC is one of the tougher schools to get a kid to back off of a commitment.
Totally. You don't hear it too often.
Yeah, with the way their contracts are structured and everything. Yeah. Albert McKinney. I can't wait for Cantwell at left tackle and Joel Irving at right tackle. Yeah, or Ben Congdon. Miami's got a lot of options. Even a guy that's developed pretty well within the program is Jaden Wilkerson too. He had a pretty solid spring himself. So, but the guy I'm really excited, that's a returning player that maybe he didn't play a lot last year, but I think he's a starter this year. Max Buchanan. That's who I'm watching this year. Sergio J.
Max Buchanan.
Yeah. Sergio J. Sanchez, real estate. Mario is just starting. College football has no idea that a decade-long hurricane is hitting. Nice.
I like the way that sounds,
actually.
Sergio.
So, good friend of mine that I've known for many years now. He's a big hurricane fan. He posted this graphic he made, by the way, that here it is. Coach Cristobal is already top 10 in Miami Hurricanes history for head coaches. He can move past Coach Schnellenberger next year and wins. And if he wins a title, he starts solidifying himself as one of the greats. Looking at this, the longest-term coach in Miami Hurricanes history is Coach Gustafsson with 16 years. That potentially will be tough for Coach Cristobal to reach, as he would be 67 if he gets to 16 seasons at Miami. He could, though, become the winningest coach in Miami history. And if he does get 3 titles, it would be undisputed most natties as a Miami coach. This will be a fun and interesting tenure to follow, as most Canes coaches that succeed have went to the NFL. This has been his dream, though, so it won't be easy for an NFL team to sway Mario Cristobal away.
I agree. Mario is this is it. Mario's not going anywhere else. He's a lifer.
Yeah.
But to say Mario's going to win, if he wins 3 titles, I mean, it's not so easy to win 1. And right now, the Mount Rushmore of Miami Hurricane, speaking of coaches, is obviously Howard Schnellenberger, Dennis Erickson, and who would be the third? Possibly Butch Davis. I mean, Larry Coker, I don't think is up there, even though he did win a championship. Who would be the fourth? Right now, if you had to say, it would be Schnellenberger, Butch, Jimmy, and Butch, Schnellenberger, Jimmy, Erickson, and I would say Butch, because he put that team and put them around. That would be it. Howard, to get up there, Mario, okay, obviously he has to win at least 1, okay? Yeah. I think that'll put him over Butch. All right. Winning 2, I don't think he can really supplant Howard Schnellenberger at all, because he's the guy that started it all. He changed his program from being an also-ran to being a contender, to being a champion. And when we had Kenny Calhoun on the show last week, he thought that Schnellenberger would have won multiple championships in a row.
Yeah.
If he would have stayed on.
Let's see here. So from the graphic I'm looking at, Mario 4 years in, 35-19. Howard Schnellenberger through 5 years, 41-16. So Mario has a chance to surpass him in all-time wins this year, but doesn't have the national title yet. After Schnellenberger, you got Butch Davis at 51-20 through 6 years. Jimmy Johnson at 52-9 in 5 years. Jack Harding at 54-32 through 9 years. Larry Coker, this is the crazy thing about it, is because this was so slanted towards the beginning of that tenure. 60-15 over 6 years. And then you got Dennis Erickson at number 2, 63-9 through 6 years.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, 6 years, 63-9, 2 national titles. But you could make the argument that a good portion of that was, especially that 89 team, that was really Jimmy's team.
Mm-hmm.
But and then, like I said earlier, Andy Gustafsson, who spent 16 years at Miami, 93 and 65. So Mario's sitting at 35 right now. He's only had 4 seasons at Miami so far. Maybe he could become the all-time winningest coach at Miami, like even just overall record. I do think it could be within reach.
I think he's definitely going to do it. I mean, everything being equal, I think he'll definitely do it. Mario's not going anywhere. I mean, he's relatively young man for coaching. He could probably easily coach another 10 years. The question is, I hope, and one day we're saying Mario Cristobal has the most national championships at Miami. That would be the greatest thing anybody could say. And I don't care if it's just 3. I mean, it's going to be difficult. But if we one day say Mario Cristobal is not only the winningest coach, but has the most national championships at the University of Miami, there's going to be nobody happier than the guys right here, Gio and Brett and everybody that's listening.
Absolutely.
Especially
H. Keynes. H. Keynes 1005 said, "Hey, gents, been a while. Glad I caught the live. Thank you for stopping by again. Hassan, we need to thank Mario for all this. When everyone was calling for his head, I hate to say I told you so. Look, Hassan stood in that paint when everyone was down.
He's like rock'em sock'em. He's fighting him off. Hassan was.
It took me, I'll be honest, Brett, it took me about, I think it was like 2 days after that loss for me to finally kind of rebound back around again. That I was in a group chat and I started telling people, wait, there may still be mathematically a chance that Miami could get in the playoff. People started shutting me down in group chats. They're like, you're crazy. You're effing crazy. There's no way. We're done. We're done. The season's over. That's it.
No, at that point in time, as we know, I was very upset. I'd never said a negative thing on social media, and I was ripping on my personal Facebook page, not the company one. But the next week, I did tell everyone, when we won, if we win out, we're in. We're in. I remember having with Cliff, my buddy Cliff DeBow and Mondo, I was on with them on a text, and I'm saying, if we win, there's no way we're out. But at the same time, I think it was against Virginia Tech when we were barely going to win that game after we should have blown them out. I was screaming, okay, how did we let this team back in the game? And then we were running out the clock. I think that's the game. We're running out the clock. First down, Mario into the line. Second down, Mario into the line. Third down, Mario into the line. And I don't know what happened. And Mario got a call or somebody raced down to the bench and said, what are you doing? And he threw the long pass to Malachi. I said, oh, I forgot. Old Mario took over. It's like, you've got the devil and the angel there. Old Mario took over. So he got to get slapped around, and he threw the touchdown.
Look, I'll tell you this. I do think they found, or they also figured the balance that they need based on opponent and matchup too. Like Miami was able to sling the ball around the yard quite a bit against a team like Ole Miss where they needed to stay within that game. They were able to pound it out against tough physical teams like your Ohio States, your Texas A&M. Like Miami's multiple. They're very multiple on offense. I think that's a beauty of
very, very, very multiple.
The personnel that they have, and I think the key is knowing when to do so with your matchup, knowing when you have to press the gas on either one of those. And I think Miami figured that out last year.
And I know it doesn't matter. I hate when people say this when they lose, but I really do believe if we played Indiana 10 times, we beat them 7 times.
Yeah.
Right after that game, if we had a chance, a mulligan, I just think we don't come out with the same game plan that we had going in.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm glad Indiana got their first championship. Let's hope it doesn't happen again on our watch.
Yeah. Hopefully Miami gets another rematch with them at some point.
Oh, it'd be great. People are still picking them. We are coming this time. And I'm not glad Indiana beat us, but great story, the Mendoza story and everything like that. But Yes, I was heartbroken like everybody else that was sitting in the stands and watching at home.
It was devastating, but Miami will rise again.
Yes.
Funny thing about that, I remember some fans even saying afterwards, like, I get it. People get caught up in the moment. They're like, oh my God, like, maybe we'll never be back or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, are you guys crazy? Like, there was a chance that Miami wasn't even going to be here this year. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Listen, it's a micro. Everybody jumps to conclude instantaneous reactions. Whatever happens in any sport, a team loses the first game in a playoff game. It's like, will they win again? Are they going to get swept? And that's the same thing. We don't get a recruit. It's like, will we ever get another recruit? Will we ever be able to bring anybody here? Everybody overreacts, and it's an overreaction society.
Possum Jenkins said, Hassan said, thank you
for
all the love. Hassan said, South Florida recruits aren't loyal and they're for sale. That's why Miami should always recruit nationally. Yeah, Mario Cristobal definitely put a premium on recruiting nationally. And you know what? A lot of Miami's best teams, yes, they had great South Florida guys, but they had a mixture of great guys from other states too. Louisiana, California, Texas, New Jersey. Those were hotbeds for Miami. Sergio said, Miami wants to give love to Miami kids, but if the kids don't show the love back, they'll get someone else just as good from a different state. Thank you, Sergio. Andy said, yes, Dennis Smith is the glue to this program. Yeah.
I've heard that so much lately. That Dennis Smith is the guy.
Vic and Bastian said, can Michael Irvin be Miami Hurricanes wide receiver coach? I don't think Mike has ever truly gotten into coaching. I know he's been around the program a lot. He spent a lot of time with the guys.
He's coaching everybody on that sideline. He doesn't have to be a wide receiver. He's grabbing running backs. He's grabbing defensive ends. He does whatever he wants there.
From personal experience, because I've been next to Mike on the sidelines during the games throughout the past couple of years when he's been hanging out. He's with that receivers group a lot. Like, he's hyping them up. He's talking them through everything. Like, him and CJ Daniels were really good buddies too. He was always talking with Malachi as well. So yeah, there's some level of coaching that's already going on there. But I think that's the beauty of Miami, the brotherhood like that.
The brotherhood.
Hassan said here, but we still have our idiot rival fan base saying Mario still haven't won the ACC. Hello, morons. Miami made the playoffs, and I believe in a couple of years there won't be conference championships. I'm on that page with Hassan.
I agree. Well, I don't believe there will be conference championships anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, it definitely won't be conference championship games.
Yeah, I think that will go at some point in the future, but it would be nice if Miami does win the ACC before it comes.
I would have loved to win the national
just to never hear the saying, "You never won the ACC."
I would have loved to win the national championship last year without winning, and say I had a shirt planned out. National, Miami national champions, and still not an ACC champion.
Yeah. Canes Command Center, Max, thank you for stopping by. He said, hey, guys, Lorraine, so excited for you fans to start to experience all we did when we were ruling the college football world.
That's a great point.
The golden era. And, hey, Mario Cristobal said it at one of Miami's basketball games again this year. I think it was during halftime, one of them when all the players came down and everything to the court. He told the people in the stands, he said, this is the golden age of Miami athletics.
Exactly.
That holds
true. I remember saying
that. Canes Command Center said, hi, Lorraine. He also said, Max said, biggest news of the day, Canes men's basketball player Marcus Allen is officially cancer-free. Yes.
Thank God.
I saw that.
Canes Command Center Max, I think, is the person that started that a fund for him, and great job, Max. And I know he didn't do it to be called out on that, but so glad to see that for Marcus Allen, and hopefully he has another opportunity. Beautiful story.
Absolutely, looking forward to seeing him back on the court. Lorraine Kane, hi, Canes Command Center. Martin Dubé from the other side of the world stopping by. The Miami Hurricanes are going to be the death of me because it's after 3 a.m. and I am watching a show about recruiting. Martin, you know what? You are part of our Miami Hurricanes Degenerates Club.
The
You
Degenerate
are
Club.
absolutely addicted to the Hurricanes. You cannot
That's
get
what we
enough
go.
of
We
them.
can get the Caneswear Degenerate Club. I like it. Caneswear TV Degenerate Club.
We
Racket.
love you, Martin. Lorraine Kane, I still want to go 1-0 with no predictions. Albert McKinney, we got all season to work on DJ Jacobs. Absolutely. The Miami will be in it for the long haul there.
Mm.
B-Rabbit, we made it with Beck somehow with an insane defense. I think they could take a small step back there, but the offense with Mensa will be 100,000 times better. Look, there's one thing I'm going to say. I think Carson Beck's experience also really helped out in the playoffs. Like, it's hard to ignore the amount of games that kid played in college and the amount of games he won too. I think Beck does deserve credit to an extent, but yeah, that defense was awesome last year between what Bain and Mesidor were doing
Totally.
and the rest of the D line, the way Moten was performing and Mohamed Toure really came to life in the playoff. Bissaint was pretty solid and steady throughout the year. The defensive backs were great, especially Keontae Scott. He was like all world last year. It's definitely an all-time season fans will never forget from Keontae Scott. But I am on the page with you that I do think the offense could be really explosive with Darian Mensah and the way that receiver room is, what they have returning at running back and adding to it could be a very exciting offense. And yes, I've been on record saying this, that I think the O-line group could be a better run blocking group from what I've seen compared to the group from last year. But that I've shared the sentiment that I don't think necessarily on the same level as like the pass protection, but not where it's some massive drop off that like, oh my goodness, they can't pass block for nothing. I think it'll be sufficient enough for them to do what they need to do. And I think Mensah's skill set, being able to extend plays, like he's not the most dual threat quarterback ever, but he has more than enough ability to move outside the pocket, extend plays, sometimes even creating something out of nothing that was some of the magic of Cam Ward himself. So I'm not saying he's for one. He's not a 1-for-1 to Cam Ward, but I think there's a mixture in there between there's some Cam Ward in there, and there is some Carson Beck in there too.
No doubt about it. I think he has that. Going back to the defense, and for those of you that experienced the 80s, I know 2000, the late 90s, early 2000s was special. But those 80s defenses, I'd go to all the games and see them, and just nobody got around the corner on those teams. And if we gave up a drive to when we played like in Oklahoma, which had the wishbone running game, we may have gave up one drive, and then after that, we totally shut them down. Nobody got to the outside ever on our linebackers, ever on our defensive ends. I mean, the containment was amazing. And it wasn't just there. It was also on special teams. You never saw anybody return a kick on us. You never saw anybody get to the outside. The speed, the discipline of those teams in the 80s, the defenses. People always talk about the offense and all of our great players, but those defenses were phenomenal. And that's where I saw last year's defense was nobody was getting around us.
So we got a super chat.
All right.
Sammy 305 Miami fan. Are we going Nike again? Tough to say. It's quite some time out from, well, here's how I'll put it. That contract officially comes up next June. So we're already finishing June right now. Tomorrow's July 1st, start of the new month, 11 months away. Negotiations will happen way before next June rolls around. So you're talking about in these upcoming months and sometime in the winter, early spring, they'll continue those discussions and everything. You'll probably hear something more concrete by the time spring of next year rolls around. But what I can say is Miami's been very happy with Adidas. There's definitely been a lot of discussion that Adidas is ready to make a really good deal for Miami. Adidas is also, as far as I know to this point, one of the very few apparel brands for these college athletic teams that is actually investing into NIL as well. They're one of the very few that's doing so. So that's a big boon too. And bottom line, it really comes down to the dollar bill for these college athletic programs. And look, if Nike were to want Miami again, they would have to come with a really big deal, because what has been said is that Adidas, they're going to treat Miami very well, especially this second go around.
Let me add something. So If anybody watches the stocks or anything like that, today, right now, trending on stock twits is Nike. Okay, the number one. Now, Nike stock is trading at $39.58. 5 years ago, Nike stock was $169. So if anyone's paying attention, it's down over 70%. Nike stock was at the beginning of the year, closed last year 100. It's $39. Nike is hurting badly. And Nike is not only has to worry about Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, they've got the NFL. They've got everything. They've got basketball, the NFL. They are putting money everywhere. And they are obviously, their stock is falling fast for a reason. They're trending today. They're not doing great financially. So I don't know where everyone thinks Nike just has all this money. Now, they may get them, but Adidas has now said, we want to be a major player in college. Adidas does college. They do MLS. They do World Cup, obviously, and they do now a Formula One. They're picking and choosing what they want. But college is very important. Nike just doesn't have all this money to throw around and say, Miami, here's $300 million. While our stock is falling fast. Their investors won't be happy about that if they're just throwing money around like that. On top of that, I mean, Alabama won't be happy about that. Ohio State, all these schools are going to have to get big raises if they slot Miami in there. Yeah. I don't know if it's Nike or Jordan. It's the same company. So we'll see. A lot of good things from Adidas. I think a lot of people are going to be quite happy with the Adidas line this year. Stay tuned.
Let's see. Albert McKinney said, I was 10 years old when they put Florida State in the championship game over Miami to play Oklahoma in that terrible game. Yeah, that was rough.
2000.
Jeremy
that was one of the best teams that ever won a championship.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That 2000 team was stacked. Having Dan Morgan,
Santana Moss,
Andre Johnson was on the bench. Andre Johnson wasn't even starting; he was on the bench.
Exactly. Those three guys were. Those three guys were as good as any guys that were on 2001.
Yeah, no, they were. Brooksville Kane said, "Gio, all the people in here that are driving you nuts with the negativity are just trolls. Go Canes." Yeah, I mean, I was talking more so about like back in that time frame that like April to like Mayish, like when Miami missed on Myson Johnson Cook and then all the Matthews stuff started coming up. Like there was a lot of people freaking out, and
I don't see that right now. Gio put everyone. A few people were upset, and right after that, Gio I think called up Mario and said, "I will not be feeling this way again. Make sure you get every recruit from now on."
You know what's funny? I'll share this because I'm in quite a few group chats on X and on different places. And there is a belief by some Miami fans. I don't believe this to be true at all, but there is a belief by some Miami fans that Mario gets a rush out of this, that he gets a thrill out of it, that he'll bring everyone to a very like low place. They're like, oh my God, we suck and what's happening and everything, to just have these massive rises that like just give this people this sugar rush. Like it's like crack. It's like crack for the fans that they're just going crazy over with all the recruiting news. So I don't believe that it's actually that, but there are some fans who have that theory, and I've kind of cracked up and laughed about it. Like when I've heard that, I'm like, oh my God,
I can imagine that.
Yeah. Howard Stern said, I'm pumped too, Gio. I see the vision. I see the target without even throwing the arrow. And if we keep winning that 2028 class, it's going to be just as good. I'm on the same page with you. Miami's trending very well.
Well, you know what? And this is Howard Stern. So talk about negativity. He enjoyed going ahead and just knocking Mario any chance he could get before. And now Howard Stern has turned positive. He's trending the right way. This is what Gio does. He rubs off on people. He brings that positive energy like he's bringing today. And people go from being negative to positive. Thank you, Gio, for doing a service for us fans.
Howard Stern shares here, sometimes God works in mysterious ways. We lost Mark Matthews, but we got CJ Cypher and Quali Fielder. If Matthews would have came, more than likely Fielder would have never came here. Yeah, there's many hypotheticals, but those two were absolutely big gets. You're talking about Fielder. Fielder is I think he's like a top 45 prospect for next year.
But they're related, correct? These are the cousins.
Yeah, they're both cousins. Yes. Cypher, very strong likelihood he reclasses to 2028. There's a lot of discussion that if he wasn't the top overall prospect for 2029, he was one of the best. So a likely 5-star for 2029. We'll see where he slots in for 2028. But in the highest classification in the state of Georgia, he had a phenomenal season. He led his team to playing in the state championship game. The kid threw like 27 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions, and super young, but all the requisites are there, the size and how he's growing and the arm, the zip, everything he has. And mind you, this is not just a spur of the moment thing. Miami's been recruiting Cypher for some time. We brought him up on this show multiple times, but another thing too, there was actually a little bit of a campaign push, even from Miami's side, of wanting the fans to show Cypher love, how much that the program wants him, that fans even got involved. There was a whole trend that went on X, if people forget, that people were saying CJ Cypher to the U. This was like 3 months before he committed. So great collective group, even from the fans themselves, getting involved with that. Luke Chaser J, man, I love Mario. We were just in FSU shoes, in shambles every offseason, hoping we could get better, but not believing we were better, not anymore. I'm with you, Luke Chaser J, but I will say one thing. We actually spoke about this during our Caneswear team meeting / lunch today. And one of the biggest takeaways was, yes, it almost feels like a parallel to what Miami was dealing with before. Not like Mark Richt era. Mark Richt brought more stability when he came in. But before that, and then that little era right after with Diaz, what you always saw with Miami then was they'd have these like strong starts. They win 3, 4, 5 games. There was even that 2013 season where they started off like 8-0, or I think it was somewhere around that range. But it was always like the moment of the first sign of true adversity, that they lost the game or something, that it always felt like everything unraveled. Everything came apart and they would lose a bunch of games. The season would go in the toilet and everything. You don't see that anymore now with Miami. I see that with FSU now, actually, that I've always said this, that I never want to say never when it comes to Florida State maybe reemerging one day in the future, because there was a lot of rival fans that said, oh, Miami's dead. Miami will never be back or anything. I'll never say a program's truly dead. I mean, unless you ask me about a program like Nebraska. I don't think Nebraska is ever going to rise back. And I think it's been so drastic what's happened to Nebraska. But I do think a program like Florida State, if they can find the right infrastructure, if they can change some of the top level administration and everything, I think they could turn around at some point down the line in the future. I just don't think right now, this second. But Florida State, their situation's even worse than what Miami was in, because at least Miami would have some good seasons here and there, but Miami wasn't losing like 8 or 9 or 10 games in a season. It wasn't that bad. Florida State is a really bad situation right now. But hey, if you're a Miami fan, you're kind of enjoying it. But I do and have always held this belief. I think college football is better when both Miami and Florida State are competing. I think it's better for the sport when both are competing for championships. I think that is the height and peak of the sport, very similar to like when USC is doing really well. I think it brings the best out of the sport when those programs are competing like that. But I will say, though, I got no respect for the Florida Gators. I don't care if the Florida Gators suck. I don't care if they lose 10 games next year or if they win 5. You know what? They're scared of Miami, okay? The Gators are scared of Miami. We spoke about this today. It's sad. There's no future game on the schedule with the Florida Gators. You know what that boils down to? The administration at Florida not wanting to schedule with Miami because Miami wants the smoke.
Exactly. What are we on? What have we won? Now we've won 7 out of 8. What's the numbers we've won against them?
In recent times, so they won that 2019 game when Manny Diaz was here. That was that game that was in Orlando. Don't remind.
That was the only one they won, correct?
The special teams blunder and everything. Miami, that was a game they should have won.
Definitely should have won that game.
Miami beat them back in 2013 when it was at Hard Rock. That was the game with Denzel Perryman with the big hit. Duke Johnson had the touchdown. Dorsett, Herb Waters. Tracy Howard with the pick. I'm sure everyone remembers that 2013 game. And then, just the ones from the last 2 years, Cam Ward destroying them in the swamp, 41-17. That score is not relative to what that game actually was, because Florida got a garbage time touchdown in that game.
On that
Miami
run.
dismantled them that entire day in the hot swamp in Gainesville.
That was hot.
And even the game last year, that score wasn't relative to what it was. Miami
we continue to let teams back in the game, and hopefully that's not going to be, because now we know that, hey, style points means everything now.
Yeah.
Style points is so important. We don't want Notre Dame to come back and say, we only lost you by a few points. Hey, we beat you by 50.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
No, you're absolutely right, Brett. Luke Chaser J said Michael Yo destroyed Malik Zaire the other day. I enjoyed that 1 hour plus so much. Yes, Michael Yo is a very good friend of mine, does a great job with his show. I always join on with him. We're going to have him on here too as well. Mike does a great job. And yeah, he cooked Malik Zaire. Mullet TV, Duck is here, everybody. Better Duck, the man himself.
By the way, Duck, if you're still here, I did love that that X post of yours on the when we brought Dono on board about the way the industry is going. Great job.
Absolutely. Agreed 100%. H. Canes 1005. Notre Dame has always recruited. I don't see Freeman really has increased. Yes and no. Notre Dame has kind of creeped up a little more in terms of like the overall talent they're getting now. They weren't getting as many kids as like top tier kids as they do now, in my opinion, what I've seen historically with them. I think Freeman's definitely helped out the recruiting a bit. Elite Cuban Kane, not me, left LMAO. I remember your face getting red. Yeah, I was mad that day with the Miami fans, with the narratives that were going on about Miami's recruiting. I was pissed. Howard Stern, losing 3 games, a total failure. I'm with you. Yeah.
Waiting for the 9 out of 15 championships. I know it's got to come up soon.
Also, another thing I'll mention about that, Howard Stern, the only way it would be acceptable if Miami did lose 3 games this year, they'd have to have catastrophic injuries.
True. Well, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Let's not even put that one in the atmosphere.
Yeah. Money Making Mitch, thank you for stopping by. Why are we not in on Munchin Sales and Jalen Brewster? What happened there? Miami did have quite a bit of interest in Munchin Sales, but most people expect him to end up at a program like Indiana or Alabama for the most part. Jalen Brewster, just Miami didn't, this juice not worth the squeeze for what they're looking for and everything. And Miami is also very big on mentality too, and the type of player, like specifically fitting into what they're doing at Miami. I don't think it's a fit. Charles Caruso, thank you for stopping by. Yes, big fan, Miami. Luke Chaser J, I would love to see Texas A&M lose a lot and watch that class implode. That would be great. That would be great because Jaden Upshaw is a guy that Miami really liked. Ralph 3986 had a look at the Caneswear secret boardroom on the Michael Yo show. Brett looked very corporate, my friend.
Thank you. Definitely.
Charles Caruso, yes, big fan. Miami, Florida. Money Making Mitch. Dante Wright wants to be in Miami. Yes, he does.
Money Making Mitch. I love that.
Mr. HD said, Coach Dirt. Them local head coaches mad because Miami is back. Well, I know Dirt. I actually have met him before in person quite a few times in the past and everything. I don't think it's necessarily that he's ever truly had something against Miami. Sometimes some guys, even local coaches, they'll troll on Twitter and whatnot. But they also try to like look for opportunities for their kids on their 7-on-7 teams and everything. They'll take them to other programs. So I get it, but I understand why Miami fans feel that way, but I don't think Dirt is like entirely against Miami or anything of that sort. At least the interactions I've had with him in person. Social media could be an entirely different thing compared to what you see with people in person and how they act and react. Money Making Mitch, 20 commits, 20 shutdown recruitments in June. Unheard of. Absolutely unheard of, yes. And the only thing that can come close to that in, well, I shouldn't say recent history because it was quite some time ago, but when Mac Brown was at Texas, it's kind of similar to that. I brought it up that he'd have most of his class locked up by the summer, and then they'd go cherry picking just other elite talents when the season was going on and leading into December. So definitely nice where Miami's sitting right now, wrapping up this summer. Raymond Rodriguez, let's go Canes. Recruiting is on fire. It absolutely is.
Absolutely.
I go. Loot Chaser J, imagine if we got Jose Kent from Florida as a blocking tight end. Actually, you know what, Loot Chaser J? I've seen the recent pictures of him. Wow. Kudos to the kid. He did a really good job with the strength and conditioning program at Florida, because a lot of people commented, they're like, oh my God, he's a 300-pound tight end. How's that going to work and everything? He got in really good shape. I've seen the recent photos that have surfaced. Brooksville Kane, absolutely agree with your assessment of the South Florida athletes. It's to the point now where if you don't want to be here, goodbye. Absolutely. What's the old saying? You can play with us or against us. Yes. And actually, you know what? The great Don Solinger has shared this with me and several others at some speeches he's had in the past, where he has said that his way of recruiting was he would tell guys, like, he wasn't like the type that would want to kiss up to the kids or anything. He would tell them, look, you want to be the best? You come to Miami. You want to find out how truly great you are. You come to Miami and you compete with the best and see if you could start here and if you can play here and play for championships. And you know what? That worked for him because he had insanely talented backfields. He had incredible special teams units too. I think people forget that about Don Solinger. He was a really good special team coach too.
He was a great high school coach, and then he was a great coach for the 2000 teams.
Yeah, but Miami's got more leverage on their side now than in quite some years. Look, will they have all the leverage ever? Very tough to do so in this era now, but they definitely have more than they've ever had in a long time.
Absolutely.
Possum Jenkin, exactly. I truly believe if you go position for position, Miami is better than Notre Dame. I think Miami has the better.
No doubt about it. I agree.
I think they have the better quarterback, the better running backs, the better receivers. Tight end, I would give right now to Notre Dame. But we'll see. Maybe someone might emerges from Miami's tight end room. O-line, I'm going to say a wash. And the only reason why I say a wash is because Miami's got some really talented guys there that are going to play this year. Just it has to be shown in the games first. D-line, I give to Miami. Notre Dame's only got one guy that's a true star. Miami's got a SEC superstar on their roster now with Damon Wilson, who's expected to make a big impact, and the other guys who flashed last year, and an Ahmad Moten, who's a first-round projection. Linebackers, I'd possibly give to Notre Dame right now, but we'll see. And defensive backs, I give to Miami because I think Bryce Fitzgerald is that difference between the two. Leonard Moore's really good, but I don't think Notre Dame's safeties group as a whole is as good as Miami's. Possum Jenkin, name a player on offense and defense who's not starting that you think will have a breakout season. So not starting. I think there's a possibility that maybe J.J. Dunnigan doesn't start out of the gate because Miami's got a good defensive backfield group, but he will be in the rotation. So that's one I could point to. I think Bobby Pruitt is a guy that could take another step this year from the linebacker room. I look at like a guy like Jabari Antoine, even if he doesn't start, I do think he will be a fixture in the rotation at corner this year with the progress he's made from last year. He looked really good in spring, actually. Hayden Lowe, as well as a guy I could point to, Jarquez Carter. I think those are some candidates. Offensively, Dalen Upshaw is one of the first guys I'd point to. Vandrevius Jacobs, even if he doesn't start, I think he could have a really nice impact. And another one that I've been putting my stock into for this year, because I do think he will bounce back being healthy now, Jordan Lyle. Giovanni Foster, why didn't Mensa participate in the Manning camp? I'm not sure on that. I'd have to get back to you on that to see if I can find out. Martin DeBay, Miami must try and beat the 47 straight wins record that Oklahoma did in the 1950s under Bud Wilkinson. Wow.
That was some record. I don't know if it's as good as it was. That was amazing. But Oklahoma was a dominating team. Anyway.
Geokane 75, is LeBron bringing his talents to South Beach? We shall see. Michael Yo did ask me the question earlier today. about like him and the Lakers and everything before the news started breaking that he wasn't going to, or I think it was afterwards. Or, I know people have asked me, and I didn't expect him to
I think
turn
he's coming.
back. Yeah.
I thought he's coming ever since. I thought if we signed Giannis, he was coming here. I still think he's
I
coming
think here's the thing: if he does end up at Miami, I think Miami's got to make a trade or two to make it somewhat work, because they only got about $6 million left over after the
I
Hardaway
think he's
Jr.
just a mid. He'll go with the mid level. Wherever he goes, I think he's got to get the mid level exception. I don't think Golden State has any money. I don't know. I think if he goes somewhere, I think it's going to be to a team he played with before. I think it's either going to be Cleveland or Miami. I don't see him going. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't see him going with the over the hill gang. I think he's going to a team he once played with. And I think it's Cleveland or Miami, I think.
That is what I said to Michael Yo earlier today, though, when he asked like what would be the destination that I felt
I think most likely he'd go home to Cleveland. But we'll see. I think Cleveland's the leading candidate, and then we're second.
Yeah. So when I spoke about that with Michael Yo today, because he kind of like just plopped the question on me on the spot, and I told him, I said, look, even there was a lot of rumors even before his official statement came out that he wasn't going to return to LA, that people were saying, oh, for sure he's going to end up in Golden State. Oh my God, they're going to get Anthony Davis and this and that. And my first thought of that whole Anthony Davis charade and everything, I said to myself, and I said this to people afterwards, how the heck is the Golden State Warriors going to unload Jimmy Butler's terrible contract right now? Like, I love Jimmy Butler for what he did when he was with the Miami Heat. It was great, phenomenal. But you have to put into context that Jimmy Butler is 38 years old. He's set to make about almost $40 million. He's not a max contract player anymore. So why would the Wizards want to take on that nasty, terrible contract of Jimmy Butler to gift the Warriors and say, hey, you know what? Just because LeBron wants Anthony Davis over there, we'll give him to you, and we'll
The only reason is Jimmy's, I think, on his last year of the contract. I don't know how Anthony Davis.
But it just makes
Jimmy Butler.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense for the Wizards. And you know what? I commend the Wizards for not giving in, because the Wizards, they got to build something, because they haven't had a lot of success as a franchise for some time now. So they have to build something. You can't start trading away for a star that you had just brought in.
I got to say, mentioning Jimmy Butler, it's been a long time that people have been ripping Pat Riley, forget that, how many championships he's won. What have you done for us? We were just in the finals a few years ago. I think the Heat have been in half of the Eastern Conference finals in the last 20 years.
Yes.
Pretty much. But they didn't get, they were pissed off we didn't re-sign Jimmy Butler. Well, where is Jimmy Butler now? They were pissed off we didn't get Bradley Beal. What the hell did Bradley Beal do? They were pissed off we didn't get Kevin Durant. What did Kevin Durant do after he left Golden State?
It's true.
I mean, they were pissed off we didn't get who's the guy that signed last year with Milwaukee?
Giannis?
Not Giannis, the guard.
Oh, Damian Lillard.
They were so upset. What did Damian Lillard? Everybody we missed, we didn't trade the whole team for. They were so upset we didn't trade everybody. And what did any of these guys do?
They didn't win anything.
Nothing. I can see if he said, we should have traded for this guy and he won a championship. But now we just did give up a lot for Giannis, and they finally thank you. They finally went ahead and gave up the house, and and now people are going to want to come play with Giannis. They're going to want to play with Bam. We've got some good guys. We just signed Wiggins again. Will be interesting to see if LeBron did come. He personally kicked Wiggins off the team basically when he wanted Kevin Love, and he didn't even supposedly when he got there to Cleveland. Wiggins, who's supposedly the nicest guy in the world, exact opposite of LeBron, he said LeBron never said one word to him to say hello. Here's this great guy coming in with the number one pick there, and he totally dissed him the whole time. So I'm happy. If LeBron goes to Cleveland, I'm fine. Let's build this team. We got Tim, not that he's great. We got Tim Hardaway Jr. today. We signed Francesco. I mean, they're building this right. If we get LeBron, great. It'll be obviously more sales at Caneswear. We'll actually start carrying more Heat stuff. And if we don't get him, I think we're going to be okay, as long as our guys stay healthy.
I think the Heat will be fine. LeBron or no LeBron, I do think I'm on the same page with you that I think it's more likely a return to Cleveland, and if it's not Cleveland, then it's Miami. I don't see that Golden State thing happening. It just
All
it
right,
makes
for him to go Golden State, I just think him and Curry will blow up. I don't think it's going to be as smooth as and Draymond. I can't see Draymond and LeBron playing together. I'm sorry.
We'll see.
He's going to go home.
I will
I'd say it's 65 Cleveland, 35 Miami. That's my
I will give credit to LeBron though. He's into his 40s now, and the way he's played.
The guy is amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible the longevity he's played with.
Still not the greatest of all time. I think Jordan is.
Michael Jordan. Yes.
And Bill Russell has something to say about that too, actually.
Yeah. Charles Caruso, yes, big fan, Miami Hurricanes football team. Thank you, Charles, for stopping by. New AD, Brett Mitchell, and Gio for assistant AD.
We will take that job. I'm just going to be just a social director, just to tell you the truth. So Gio can do the end. But thank you, Robert. I always appreciate your following and the kind words.
Vic and Bastian said, Gio, I hear Miami Hurricanes baseball team is doing good. Have you heard anything? They've definitely been doing a little bit better on the recruiting front and even from the transfer portal. But
I've heard that too.
Yeah. H. Canes, 1005. JJ, Jimmy is number 1. Absolutely. Roger Allen, Butch is not on the list. No one made him leave. True. Sergio said, Gio, is Miami set at only 2 wide receivers, or could you see them getting another as a flip or late senior evaluation? Yeah, so I kind of addressed that earlier. Essentially, it would be what they're looking for is like an X receiver if they go on that route. So they've had interest in Quentin Hale. I know there's another receiver they offered recently from out of state, more of a low profile, like 3-star guy, but they'll definitely make some senior evaluations too, because perfect example of that, Mylan Paris was a senior evaluation himself. Even to a certain extent, Samoran Wingo was too. His senior tape like really made Miami double down on him. So yeah. Roger Allen, 2307. Mario will win 9 national titles over the next 15 years. Wow. That's kind of bold.
I saw that flash when it first did. Now I will take that in a heartbeat. Who said that?
Roger also said Jimmy, Howard, Dennis, Larry / Butch. They are 1, but Mario can become number 1 in the next 6 years.
If he wins 9 out of the next 15 championships, he's definitely number 1.
Roger Allen also said Miami was the best team last year that will drive the Canes this year. Yeah. Jose Gonzalez, Roger, I love that prediction. Martin DeBay said Jimmy Johnson 52-9, but 4 of those losses were in the first year. That is true. That was that tough first
point. Yes.
What was it? That was 84, right? Yeah.
Yes, 84.
Sammy 305, Miami fan. Are we going? So we spoke about that earlier. Andy said we need Ray Putney. No more 405 stars. We need Ray Putney. IMAX with the praying hands. Mullet TV lost to a spaz who cries during thunderstorms. He's talking about Fernando Mendoza.
I just saw some flash the screen. He's not giving money to Indiana or something like that. I don't know what that's all about. There was something.
Andy also shared here, I really feel that over the next years coming up that Mario could be the next Saban. Funny thing you say that, Andy, because Dante Wright, Miami's highest rated commitment in this recruiting class right now, and after his performance at the opening, because he is the number 2 cornerback in the country, he could become number 1 soon. He said it himself that he believes that Mario is like what Mario's building is like the next Saban. Well, we'll see. You know, those are definitely big words to say, but I don't think any Miami fan would complain about that. A run like that. Juan Manuel Ventura. I saw this level of recruiting, 99, 2000, 2001. Those years, some of those classes had 4 more first-rounders per class. 2000 class had DJ Williams, Willis McGahee, John Beason, Kelly Jennings. Yes, you're correct, Juan. So when I was mentioning, I said like that modern era, like when the recruiting rankings were starting to being pushed on the internet, like when Rivals really became that thing that people would look at, that was like around 2002, 2003 when that took place. But that's what I did mention earlier, though. Like you'd have to go back to like Butch and Jimmy, and even a little bit of Dennis Erickson as well when it comes to like Miami recruiting at this type of level. It's been quite a long time. Geo 75. You can tell that Jason Taylor's development is phenomenal. Just look how he made Mesidor a first rounder after he played D tackle the year before. You're absolutely right. Bain, a first rounder also. How can you not want to come learn from that? And that was a big selling point why Damon Wilson came to Miami. And another reason why Hayden Lowe came to Miami, and Marquise Lightfoot and Armando Blunt. They all wanted to play for JT. Well, and also for the program, but JT was another big selling point too. D. Nicholas 305, we were weak in the middle. I agree. Miami's got it. They definitely have to improve at linebacker, and I do think it's possible. I have optimism there that they could be a bit better than last year with linebacker situation. Good friend of mine, Taco, said, Gio, thank you for stopping by, Taco. Juan said, is LeBron getting old? Kind of is, but we'll see how much
42,
he has.
right? Next year.
Yeah. D. Nicholas said, teams found success running up the gut on our defense. Roger Allen, don't want Nike. Let's keep Adidas or go to Pony or Riddell. Ralph 3986, LeBron should retire already. Brooksville Kane said, cheers, Brett. Possum Jenkins. Random thought, unpopular opinion, but I actually liked the 2018 uniforms we played in against LSU. Oh my God, I did not like those. I'm sorry to say it, but I did not like it. What was the parlay jersey? I did not like them.
Oh, that was the other white one.
Yeah. Juan Manuel said, you can't go backwards with a better QB, better talent and easier schedule. We can't do a Mario and not take a knee. Beck cost us 3 games with interceptions last year. But Carson Beck did win Miami some games. He especially won them that Ole Miss game. Mm-hmm. That drive that he had.
Yes.
Yeah. So you got to take the W's with the L's as well. Juan Manuel said, and also I think Carson's arm was kind of getting to him at the end of the year. I don't think he was entirely over the thing with the elbow and whatnot going into the year. From speaking to some people,
game against Florida State was phenomenal. As good as the game I've seen a quarterback have. His passes were just phenomenal.
Juan Manuel said, LeBron, take your old balls back to South Beach. Gloria Woodard, thank you for stopping by. Thank you, Canes family, for welcoming Eli with open arms. Thank you for stopping by, Gloria. I believe
Gloria.
Mother. Yes.
Awesome.
Juan Manuel said, I wish Miami has Max Buchanan practicing at second team center, half and half. He is Miami's most talented center. Max Buchanan could be that 3-year All-American at center. Yeah, but he could also be a really good guard too. And Miami, at least the coaches, they have some trust within Ryan Rodriguez and what he's done. I know some people say, oh, Rodriguez and the injuries. He was healthy all last year, actually. Mm-hmm. Ryan Rodriguez was healthy the entire year last year. He was one of Miami's 6 men on the offensive line. He'd line up as his pseudo tight end lineman. So Canes research said here, 2000 team, best Miami team of all time by SP plus 35.9 rating versus 35.5 for 2001. Thank you. Good friend of ours, Canes research, stopping by the show.
Absolutely.
I highly suggest to any Cane fan out there, if you want to see some of the best statistical stuff and historical stuff, check out Canes Research's page on X. We're going to be featuring a lot more of his content with the stuff that we're doing. He gets some really good stuff. As a matter of fact, Canes Research, I owe him some credit on the 12 out of 20 for out of state, because I didn't look at the commit list yet, but I saw his tweet come up, and then I verified it afterwards. I'm like, yeah, he's right. 12 out of 20 of the commits from out of state this year. Incredible feat. Juan Manuel said, Miss Woodard, will you be coming with your son to any of the home games? Your son will be well taken care of. The Canes players, we love them like family. Thank you, Woodard family, for choosing Miami. Gloria Woodard said, I will definitely be at all the home games and possibly the away as well. Damn, that's a commitment.
That is one. Wow.
H. Canes, Miami, FSU, and UF playing each other every year is where it should be, and UF taking us off the schedule is horrible. I agree with you, H. Canes. Porch Kane said, we would have went to the national championship in 2003 if Coker kicked 1 field goal. True. Ralph said, love to have you here at Miami. Gloria Woodard. Porch Kane said against Tennessee. Yes, that is true. That Tennessee loss was tough. But I think also kind of what happened with that 2003 team, I think that offense and everything they were doing, like with Brock Berlin, didn't help him. And it didn't help that first year he was here at Miami, like actually playing. It was kind of rough for him. He had a lot of turnovers that year. Canes Jones said, best lemonade in that pond. Thank you for stopping by, Canes Jones. Juan Manuel. Miss Woodard, make sure to stop with your son at Caneswear and sign autographs. We want to know what his number is for January. Roger Allen, FSU and Florida both suck. I only care about Notre Dame. The game in the 1980s was the best rivalry ever.
That was
I haven't heard a lot about that. Like I people joke about this when I say this. I wasn't alive for that Catholics versus convicts, but the videos I've seen on it, the people I've spoken to about it, they say it was second to none. There was nothing like it.
That rivalry, that game that we beat Jerry Faust, I was sitting right in front of the band and the OB, and that was so loud. They were just striking it up, and just watching all those games, they were just phenomenal. That was just one of the greatest rivalries ever for that time.
Yeah. Roger Allen said Miami Hurricanes 16-0 national championship.
Well, thank you, Roger Allen. I concur.
From your mouth to the football god's ears.
Absolutely.
Lorraine Kane, always run up the score. It is expected now. Absolutely.
Correct. Style points is everything.
Hassan said, Gio and Brett, have you guys saw the recent picture of Darian Mensah? He looks jacked. Yeah. He's in great shape, especially ahead of the fall.
Working out with Mondo to get those to get bigger, I've heard.
Raymond Rodriguez said, Brett, we get the wristbands on the website. Looking forward to new merchandise dropping in July.
Yeah, so I actually talked about that at the team meeting. I talked right before. We need to put those on the website. Absolutely correct. I have talked to the team about that. By next week, they better be up there, or I'm going to be upset with some people.
Gloria Woodard said, Juan Manuel will do if available. Eli Woodard, he would stick with 3. Nice.
Well, there's been some great number 3s in Kane's lore. I mean, Frank Gore, obviously, who was not number 3 at first. He was number what? 42. What was Frank Gore first? 40.
Frank Gore was 32 and then switched to
32, 3. And then he went to 3. And Randall Hill, number 3. And a funny story: one day, Randall Hill on the great Miami Hurricanes came into the store. We were jam packed before a game, and Frank Gore's jersey was up because we had them. And he ran over there and went into a thing. Who's this number 3? I'm the number 3. It was hysterical that only he can do. So number 3 is an iconic number at Miami. So that would be a great number for him to have.
It absolutely is. Mullet TV. That's why Terry Porter threw the flag, not for Ohio State. He's Oklahoma. He did it to save the 48-game win streak.
Excellent point. Excellent point. I didn't even think of that.
Juan Manuel said number 3 is great. That man, Rich. If Braun goes back to Miami, the city will again be filled with stars all around sports. Yeah, you got Messi in Miami. You got the Kachuk brothers with the Panthers. Look, hey, even the Marlins have been doing pretty good recently too. Hopefully they continue.
Marlins up 10-1 now. Ready to go 46-40.
Yeah, that and
around the World Series.
He, even with Giannis, I think definitely a lot of excitement there. Canes, Malachi, Mensah in town now, the defense, just everything in general with the program. Mark Fletcher, just really exciting time to be a South Florida sport fan. If you are, it's absolutely an exciting.
And Malik Willis going to lead the Dolphins to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Say with a great face.
Look, would be nice to see the Dolphins get it rolling again soon.
It's been a long time. I really think the Dolphins will be better than people think, though.
I'll say this. Look, there was rival fans that would talk bad about Miami for years when they had their struggles way back and say, "Oh, you guys will never return, and yeah, your program is dead, and this and that." Never say never. Look, there's been franchises. Yeah, look at the Knicks.
The New York Knicks won in 1973, the same year the Dolphins won a championship. And the Knicks, so quite remarkable. You never say never, like you said, Gio.
Yeah. We got another super chat. Money Making Mitch. Thank you, Money Making Mitch, for the super chat.
Money Making Mitch. We love it.
Let's see. Juan Manuel Ventura. Gio and Brett. Eli Woodard mom is on the chat. Welcome. Yes, we saw Juan.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate that, Mr. Woodward.
David Everett said, "Done. You can take that. Sorry, I'm done with you. I am so glad that LeBron James is gone from the purple and the gold." David is definitely a Laker fan who is upset and fed up with LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Golden Child 305. Do you think we will go after any late risers at D tackle? I did mention that earlier. I do think so. I do think if a big fish comes up, I could see Miami exploring that option because they put a premium at that position specifically. Roger Allen, Bill Russell is the best of all time. Carolina Kane, I believe Jimmy Johnson lost 5 games in '84.
Including the bowl game.
I think that was the year with Boston College, right? Boston College.
That was the Boston College, Maryland. We lost. We started off the year by beating Florida, and then we also beat Auburn, but we did lose to Maryland. We lost early to Michigan, I think, 12-7. Then we lost to Maryland after we were up 28-3. We lost to Boston College. We lost to UCLA. I think UCLA may have been in the bowl game, though.
Yeah.
But it may have been a bowl game somewhere there.
And then wasn't it Tennessee the year after in '85 in the bowl game?
Tennessee was '85. We would have won a national championship if we would beat them. We took the opening kickoff all the way, and we would have won the national championship that year.
That man, Rich, what cost us the game was Mendoza converting on the 4th and 5 on a QB draw.
That was a killer play.
Yes, it was. And you know what? The craziest thing is I have a good friend that I've known for over 15 years now, and he has been a Hurricane fan for a long time. And he said to me afterwards, he said, "Gio, I knew something was wrong that night when Fernando Mendoza literally got clobbered on that QB draw, and he didn't even fumble the ball. Like he said it wasn't our night for whatever reason."
I thought wasn't there a couple of 3rd and longs that he threw that back shoulder pass that came back on us? Yeah. Those I can remember.
Charlie Becker
scrambled for a touchdown, but those back shoulder passes killed us, and of course the block punt. We had every opportunity in that game. It was like slow motion that game, to be honest.
Yeah. Juan Manuel said, "We don't want the brother from Rock Nation. He came face to face. Jay-Z, you're not trustworthy." Yeah, Miami's moved on from that with the Yormark thing. Sergio said, "Gio, if Mario builds that Utah pipeline with all the 2028 talent out there, it's over for everyone else." Yeah, there's serious talent that comes out of that Utah area, especially the trenches as well.
Oh, yeah. The trenches is killer.
Juan Manuel said here, Larry Coker says, "I'm the best coach in 26 years at Miami. Butch didn't win one or played for one. Larry Coker demands respect." Added to his name. Butch quit. I didn't.
I think Juan Manuel is maybe Juan Manuel is Larry Coker.
Going back to that, if it wasn't for a dirty flag, Terry Potter. Oh, Juan is a trip. Kane's research mentioned something 1984 was the one with Tennessee. Hold on, I gotta check that actually. Maybe he's right.
84
was 85 when they won
the championship. 84 is when Jimmy's first year. 85, I'm pretty sure was Tennessee. 86 was Penn State. 87 was Nebraska. Oklahoma. 88 was we lost to Notre Dame, and Cleveland Gary didn't fumble.
By the way, till this day,
Cleveland Gary, that year. I didn't know that.
Cleveland Gary is the best receiving running back Miami's ever.
Oh, Cleveland Gary's a beast.
As a receiver,
great running back at the Rams too. First guy ever drafted. Great running back with the Rams, and Cleveland Gary was a great receiver. One of the most on Mount Rushmore underrated. He is definitely one of the top 10 most underrated players in Miami history. He's saying in 1984 we lost 5. FSU, we didn't count that.
Yeah,
that run was Maryland, Boston College, and UCLA. Correct.
In the season, yeah.
Good call.
Kane's research always has the stuff because I had to look it up. He's got the good stuff, man.
Did I ask him if he can write articles? I don't know. I think I did, but I'm not sure. We have to revisit that soon.
Well, thank you everyone as always for the love and support. We reached the end of the comments for tonight. We absolutely appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel, like, share, and subscribe. YouTube.com/Caneswear. We will be back on very soon. So there's no live tomorrow. I got a few things going on tomorrow, but we're trying to figure out the schedule for it because I'm also like traveling and everything. Between Thursday and Friday, we will be back on, but there will be an announcement for the day that we are on. We'll get it concrete for you guys and send it out so everyone can see it.
Absolutely. Remember, Dono is writing for Caneswear News. Download the app, caneswear.com on Google or or Apple. Not only that, there is specials on that will only be on that. There's notifications that will be if there's a special, if we're doing certain things. A lot of opportunities on that. Now we've got Donna writing on there. So download the app. The app is always free. There's no paywalls. There's no subscriptions. We're going to have other guest writers on there too. And we are looking for all-star writers. So who knows? Gio may even write some special columns in there. But download the app and lots of stuff coming in. Gio was in the store today. Lots of new boxes, lots of really cool things. We do have the Malachi jerseys. The Malachi Tony jerseys are in stock right now in orange and green. I know a lot of people have saw a backpack. I'll mention on this show. Yes, yes, and yes. So if you saw anything about backpacks, yes, yes, yes. That's all I'll say on that one. And thank you so much. Another great show and tons and tons of people watching and lots of new watchers too.
A couple of comments I want to highlight here real quick right before we hop off. Money Making Mitch said, since 1983, when Miami won its first title, no school has won more titles, 5, except for Alabama with 7. We are a blue blood. Yes, Miami is a blue blood, and anyone who tells you otherwise that Miami's not a blue blood in college football, they're full of it. Miami is absolutely a blue blood in college football. Juan Manuel had a funny comment here. Hey, Gio and Brett, wasn't G.I. Joe the one who had the motto that know when to say when and knowing was half the battle? Then I grew up and it made no sense. That's funny. And Money Making Mitch, thank you for the super chat. We absolutely appreciate it, my man.
Appreciate that. Dick Weed said that Cleveland Gary is his cousin.
Yes. I saw that. Actually, you know what's funny? I think I've met this guy before or somewhere in the past, whether it's a group chat or on a forum years ago, but I do remember absolutely devastating when Miami didn't get Evan Neal. That was a heartbreaker. It really was. Just the connection and being a legacy guy and everything, it was tough, but yeah. But hey, Miami's landing those guys now. All is right in the world again. With that said, thank you everyone for the love and support, and we'll be back on again very, very soon. Go Canes.
Go Canes.